Welcome to our exhibition of
Yes.
bodies of water.
Yeah. Would you like to introduce yourself, Rosalind?
My name is Rosalind van Hummel. I'm a Dutch painter and I made the paintings you can see here.
I'm Huijun Lu. I'm a Singaporean artist and I work with art and technology. So there's 2 installations in the space as well as a film that I've made.
We made this all in our residency upstairs, the month-long residency where we actually really went into a deep understanding and practice together and apart. Like the initial thing was doing it apart, but then we noticed there's a lot of similarities in our works.
Yeah.
And that's why we decided to build a show together.
Yes. Through a lot of different shared experiences and also conversations about some of the interests that we had. So some of the interests looking at kind of feminine or non-human perspectives, looking at the element of water and learning from the natural environment, the openness to learning from your natural environment. We brought together both of our practices and came together for the show.
Yeah. Such a coincidence and shared, I don't know, going out and exploring and then finding that we're actually really similar in the thinking, even though we're such a world apart sometimes.
Yeah.
But it works together. So
Yeah.
that's really nice. Want to tell something about this work, maybe?
This one? Okay. Well, this work is actually currently off.
Ah, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So maybe if you talk about your paintings.
Sure.
Would you like to do that?
So for me, coming here, I didn't have a set plan. I was just thinking I'll like suck up the Lisbon experience and then find my way into my works. A lot of the works I'm already making and the inspirations I have are connected with water, and then especially the hydrofeminism part of it. That is a concept I stumbled upon due to researching women and waters. And it's a theory that Astrida Naimanis wrote a paper about, called actually Bodies of Water, where she delves deep into the hydrofeminism and explains that we are actually all connected through the water in our bodies. Humans are made for at least 70-80% of water. That's one thing we share in common, but we also have to take in water. We excrete water, and through this circular movement, we are connected. Also through thought and the way where we live and all these layers that connect us all. But also there's a lot of issues with water. So like scarcities, having to feed your kids, having to even drink polluted water to feed your baby, for instance. Usually women are the first in line to notice if there's problems with the waters. So that's an interesting part. And other one is, for me, a bit spiritual. Women are more fluid in a way, more round, more like the waves of the ocean. We have menstrual cycles, we have the waves of the ocean, I would say. And that's what will also really come through in my art. The reflections, the waviness of the women. And I like to really show the medium of oil paint, which now I was experimenting a bit with, to have that waviness and still see the paint. That's really important for me.
And the smell.
And the smell of the oil paint. That was an exciting one as well, definitely. And through the residency here, we really also connected together over the fish. The Portuguese, of course, is a city inside, around the river, so there's a lot of connection with water here. A lot of fish being eaten, not for me, but also a lot of love for fish. So we went to the aquariums here and really connected with the fish.
Yeah.
With so I painted the Portuguese fish mainly in the paintings you see here. Trying to show the characters of the weird little creatures that live in not that visible of a space. Sorry. By the way, if there are any questions or things in between, I would love to have them.
Is it a long time that you have this water connection in your art, in your research?
I would say at least 8 years already, if I could put a date on it. It came in quite fluently, quite slowly, you know, like finding it very interesting how a fish skin would be next to a human skin and have that strangeness there, but also, you know, those posters that fishermen have on the walls of sexy ladies with a big fish. That contrast really intrigued me in a way that I thought, like, okay, let's find that out. But especially the women's bodies were always an inspiration for me. So that's how that came to be. Interesting.
Very interesting.
Yeah, I think so too. And also, and for me, it was such a strange thing to find the hydrofeminism already something that I was exploring, but other thinkers were writing about, and that really, connected with me on a deep level. That's interesting. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And something that we noticed when we were discussing the name of the exhibition actually is the idea that bodies of water actually came from. I had never read the hydrofeminist writing,
No.
and then so I just came up to Rosalind and I was like, I think looking at our practices and what we've been discussing, we should name the exhibition Bodies of Water.
Yeah.
And she was like,
Of course.
that's exactly right.
Yeah.
Because it's not just the human body, right, in water, but also that water vessels that or all kinds of different natural or artificial containers of water can also be called bodies as well.
Yeah.
So there's
The
a very-
oceans, the seas, the
lakes, ponds,
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah. Definitely. So I was really happy that you said that. That's really
The
connected.
telepathy.
Yeah.
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 This little fish here
This little fish here.
as well.
It's another fish I painted. It's the one over a bit more sad, but it doesn't. It's a beautiful creature named the cuttlefish. That's a shiny, big-eyed monster for some. For me, it's like a beautiful, beautiful creature. What a lot of people here eat. So I found it in a fish market, and I wanted to give it a little bit of a stage to give it back its life. Because there are problems, of course, with overfishing and overeating, and that's always a hard connection to see and a hard way to feel. Because it's a sustainable thing to have. I mean, fish is food as well. It's beautiful to eat. But then the overfishing gets in the picture, and I found it a bit tough to see, tough to witness that part. So I wanted to make a commemorative image of this sad cuttlefish. It doesn't look as sad anymore in this painting.
There's also this kind of like, I think for me personally, like this elevation or like consciousness that you give to these animals when you call the paintings of them portraits.
Yeah.
Because portraits tend to be made of for people who are very, have the means to get a portrait commissioned, you know?
Yeah,
but then you elevate them to this.
Especially with those two, I decided also to have it in the portrait form, so standing up, so that it's really a person that anthropomorphizes the fish a bit. Yeah, makes you think.
And also looking at the female figure, I would say there is the opposite game, like there is never this composition about somebody posing, or there are this kind of swirled bodies interlacing with the environment, with the fish.
Never faces. I always think when I paint a face of someone, it is another person, it's the other one. And you don't relate that well to the picture, the painting. And while here, if you're Caucasian, of course, you could think, oh, the feeling, oh, that could be me, that that's like more general than with a face. That's mainly why I do that. And then give the because we always, as people, look at eyes. So then give the fish the eyes so that the attention goes to the fish instead of, well, I mean, there's a boob as well, so we also are drawn to that, but also to the eyes of the fish, yeah, I'd say so. Especially in this piece, I wanted to really show the fluid movements and the craziness of a full ocean, the whirlwinds that can be there. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Now that I think this work is on now. Just to adjust it. Yeah, so coming back to the idea of water bodies and the different kind of uses or the meanings that water can contain, I've been making field recordings over the course of my residency here in Lisbon. So all different things that are connected with water bodies. So it could be ponds, it could be fountains, the sea, the river. So I've captured all of these different sounds and created this interactive installation here. So this is actually water that was taken out of the river, and you can touch it.
Still battery. Charge.
Okay, it's a little bit of a, but you can hear different sounds when you activate it with your hand. So you use your body to activate what is contained within the water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah.
I like this one. Yeah.
So it's kind of an invitation to experience the sensation of touching water and having that cold and wet lingering on your fingers, but also feeling connected or being able to summon a space through the sounds. You know, kind of. This very tiny vessel actually contains a very loud sound. It's the sound of
The trams.
the tram crossing out. So that kind of playing a little bit with the form of these secondhand, locally sourced glassware, as well as the different scenes that the sound kind of triggers and conjures within us. So, yeah. So this is how it comes
Nice
together in this work.
interactive work.
Mm. And it's also an invitation to touch the artwork, which is something we don't often get.
Finally.
Yes, it's good. It's good.
Yeah.
It's good. Yeah, really like it.
This is the sea.
The sea. I also love the combination of the sounds then with my paintings next to it. You know,
Yes.
like we notice a lot of stuff by accident. I mean, both delving in certain themes, but then combined, it actually works quite well.
Yeah.
Like the way it's presented, the colors,
Yeah.
such I wouldn't say coincidence because we talked about it and we had conversations about it, but it's such a elevation of the combined works. Yeah.
Definitely. I think also the kind of the sensorial, combining the sensorial with the visual, you know, that's also very nice. I think, yeah. This work is actually collectively titled Reservoir because thinking about the idea of the reservoir is that it collects water from many different sources. Sometimes it's rain, sometimes it's purification through other means, and it all comes together and converges into a singular source. So that's the thinking behind the name and all the different combinations of different vessels and sounds. Okay. Yeah. Would you like to take a look at the other installations? Maybe I'll take you through them here.
And if you have questions, please.
Or if you have any questions, of course.
First play. It's also good.
Play first, yeah, play a little bit.
So soft again.
Which one's the bird?
The small one there.
Oh, also I've used an interactive touch board, and so there's multiple iterations of it. This one is a bare conductive touch board, so you need to do a little bit of programming, a bit of coding, and then you have a selection of files, audio files, and then this works as a sensor, so it just closes the circuit through you touching it, and then it activates it. So it's like a touch-activated MP3 player, practically. Yeah.
Excellent. Super genius.
I did not invent the board, but I played with it too in this iteration. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
Thank you.
Sorry, maybe we should share the workshop.
Oh yes, as well. Yes, yes.
That's a great idea.
There. So I had a workshop earlier this. Actually on the 8th of February, thank you, where I invited all the participants to use listening as a tool and an approach to encounter urban spaces, but also the interaction between an urban space and natural sound. So we actually had a bunch of us. You listened to field recordings. We learned a little bit more about the practice of deep listening, and then we went up to nearby Estrella Park and made some recordings of how the natural sounds of the park interact with the surrounding traffic and people. And then we talked about the sounds and discussed the idea of tuning in and also what we can do to tune out of urban noise in our everyday environment. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
How much power?
But I think listening is such a powerful tool that we have that we don't always activate because sometimes there are many distractions. But oftentimes, if you take a kind of a very close listen to the space around you, you can kind of figure out all of the things that are contained within it, but also think about how it impacts you. Like even just the sound of the cars passing by.
Yeah, we filter it out.
Yeah.
I felt like, especially with the workshop, like there are so many sounds, and I almost got crazy. But then you normally filter it out or something.
Yeah, exactly.
It was hard to even have a tiny thing to record because everything got recorded, and usually your head does it as well. But
Yeah, exactly.
not noticeable.
Something that we were both discussing, it's the constant planes flying over the city that you kind of at first you really notice it,
Yeah.
and then over the time you just kind of forget about
White
it.
noise
Yeah,
thing.
just white noise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's,
Many stimulations. Yeah.
Many. Yeah. And you can move into the next installation here. So you go down this little corridor. This work is entitled Glint, and it's the name as well as the form of it takes inspiration from the reflection of sunlight on the sea, on waves. And this is like these little pockets of light, these little shimmers, they're actually called glints.
What are they called?
Glints.
Glints.
Yeah.
Oh, I never heard.
So there's this kind of idea of light that doesn't last for very long. It just sparkles and then it passes as well. So what I did here was to utilize the space of, this used to be a sink? Yes?
It was a kitchen.
Yeah, kitchen. So space that used to also contain water, having seawater within it, and a fan to agitate the water, and then causing these little micro reflections in the space. And I wanted to kind of create like a microcosm or a miniature of that, the environment of sunlight hitting the water on the sea here through this. So actually, it's quite an interesting piece because it changes over time. So as you can see here, this is actually dried salt residue from the past day. So it's been slowly evaporating. So over time, it will capture all these traces of the different the puddles of water and the forms within this piece. Any questions? Oh, and the fan is actually sourced from the inside of a computer. It's a computer fan.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in a way, it's kind of trying to combine a bit of the technological with the natural again, which is something that I explore a lot in my work in general. And the final piece of the right at the end, the dark room in our space, is a work titled Susurration. So susurration is actually what scientists call the sound of waves. So it is. I wanted to. So within all this, the entire video, it's underpinned by field recordings that I made over my time here as well, and many different videos of water in different forms as well as at different magnifications. So this image that you see here is actually ice melting underneath the microscope. Yeah, there's some underwater particles and living entities as well featured in the video. This is seawater under a microscope here that you can see. So I kind of married all the sites of water in Lisbon together with some sounds that actually come from what you're seeing, and some of them actually come from other sources. So I'm trying to kind of activate that sense of how do I say displacement between the image and the sound, but also a bit of unity through the overall soundscape.
All different sorts of water unifying.
Yeah.
Sorry, where did you get the images from the microscope? I did not maybe understand.
So I actually brought a little microscope with me that clips onto your phone. It's actually quite a simple little thing. It's a very manual lens that enables you to enlarge an image.
Yeah. Nice.
Oh, and then also these lines that you see over the surface, they are called spectrograms. So these are visualizations of sound that, so you know, oftentimes when you listen to music and sometimes your music player, they have these little wavelengths that bounce up and down. These are one form of this visualization. This one is the highest frequency that you hear within the sound. So the thing that's the loudest and most intense. So it's registered as lines. I also thought there was a very interesting parallel between the form of a sound wave and also a visual wave and a natural wave. So I overlaid them together.
What were the
This way.
sounds of the lights?
So for this, the ones that you just saw, that was the sound of the waves. But for some of them that you see earlier in the film, they are not of this. They are not the visualization of the sound that the video shows. It's like another source.
I am speechless. Of course. This human being is genius.
So kind. I'm glad you enjoyed the work.
I have to go, but thank you. Loved everything. Ciao.
Ciao. It's coming to the end of the film now.
I think it's very strong the way
this video passes through a micro perspective and a macro perspective and different point of view, different engagement with the water, stagnant water, running water, artificial water. I'm curious if you would like to share a bit more about this idea of water being so different depending on the approach you look at it somehow.
Yeah, I actually think in the what Ross was speaking about, it's like everybody feels very connected to water. I think it's so intuitive. We see it as something that nourishes us, but also just because it moves and it flexes, in a very sometimes predictable, sometimes unpredictable way, we're just very drawn to it. It's a very intuitive. Maybe it comes from the survival of civilization, right? We civilizations are always built around water.
We need it, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I think the way that I was approaching it was both taking a listening ear to hearing where the water might be, as well as finding what's interesting visually from it. But also, I think wanting to represent all the different forms of water that I encountered here during my time, because it means something different for everybody. It can be ornamental in the form of a pond. It can be life-sustaining for fish, for us, and then it can also have industrial use. There are some pipes that you see near the power plant, the old power plant. So that was kind of what drove the way that I documented all these different things. Yeah. And also rain. The rainy season also inspired quite a few of the clips here. Yeah.
And all these films you made in Lisbon?
Yes.
Okay, in your residence?
Yeah.
Walking around, we had to stop constantly because she was filming. Going to the museum, she was filming or taking the recording again.
Ross was really understanding.
It was really nice. It was really nice.
I would just disappear sometimes, and she'd be like, "And okay, yeah, you're just there. It's okay."
It also made me see how much there is of water around us,
Right.
And it made me see with a different eye also
Yeah,
in the
completely.
city. Yeah.
And you came in the most rainy month in all year in Lisbon,
Yeah,
I think. And it's
I think
nice
so.
that you were connected with the water.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow, it was not planned, but now you say this, I'm like, yes,
Totally.
yes.
Yeah, exactly.
And in terms of sound, was it something that became boring and difficult to explore in terms of repetition, or was it something that kept remaining exciting and
I thought the sounds were all really exciting. Yeah. One of the experiences I enjoyed the most, Ross and I went to the municipal gardens, and then there were many different sculptural animals in the space, and there was a fountain right in the center of it, and the little water jets were encased in frogs, ceramic frogs,
Yeah.
and just standing there and then watching the water spurt out at different rhythms, and we were trying to figure out what the pattern was, but there wasn't really one. And then it kind of sounds a little bit like a percussion piece as well, because the water's spraying, hitting the pond,
Yeah.
and then coming from the top, and it's all different
heights,
frequencies.
yeah.
Yeah, I really like that. Yeah, that's cool. Shall we
it's
run?
also interesting how in the micro filming, I suppose there was no real sound, like it's just a camera that captured the micro,
Yeah.
but then the sound is something you attach to it. And for me it's quite strange how it works organically, like it seems that you are field recording even if it's not that. I'm curious about this
Actually,
matching and mismatching between the image and the sound.
Actually, this film was the first film that I've ever made where all of the sounds are field recordings without any kind of like digital manipulation. So they're all purely what I hear around me. So the sound of the ice melting that you see is actually it was an incidental sound. I was moving some plates, the glass plates that are part of the reservoir, the other, and I heard the plates slide across each other. and then when in that moment, it felt like it gave me a cold sensation. So I felt like it made sense to put it with the ice. Yeah.
Very intuitive.
Yeah. Intuitive somehow, yeah.
And I think it's fun because like yesterday, my father said I could watch this like the whole day. And I think one characteristic of water is that watch it the whole day. You know, it's like mesmerizing.
Soothing.
Yeah.
And it's like something primal that we need to watch, something that's ever changing. And I think now they're using to kind of like how do you say, encrypt things. They are using big installations of water and lava lamps because they always keep changing patterns. So that's even for algorithms. It's really hard to follow and predict the movements of water. So for me it also like never gets boring to watch water move.
Yeah. I love this, the kind of parallel between the unpredictability of water and like thinking about the kind of rigidity of algorithms.
Yeah.
Like I've also been recently looking into the cooling of data centers and how in many countries they use recycled water to cool the servers when they're too hot.
Yeah.
So there is that kind of parallel but difference between like technology needs water.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, and going back to what Rosalind said about water, it's like it sustains us. In the same way, it sustains our digital lives as well. Yeah.
That's funny that machines are also thirsty.
Yes, they are.
It's so strange. Yesterday I saw a post by a friend that was asking AI, what is your footprint in terms of ecological impact on Earth? And the reply was, I would consume between 50 millimeter and 1 liter of water to reply this answer.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, I was very shocked. I never thought about this relationship, but it's there, of course.
Yeah.
Everything is water.
Yeah, exactly.
And there is something also for me that across this exhibition about some type of connection, not just with nature, but with an idea of not human presence. And I think water is really something that brings us back to a natural sense and a feeling that we are in a deep connection with all the beings on Earth.
For sure.
Water is holy.
Yeah. Now that's why it's holy water. It's not holy dirt. Holy tree. I mean, could be.
Could be.
Yeah. Is there anything else? Is there anything you'd like to add?
No, I think we covered a lot of it. Showed our works and the connection. Right. Are there any more questions?
Any questions?
Amazing.
Yeah?
Yeah. The two of you.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for coming to our talk.
Yes, thanks to you.
Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you.